Aloha, welcome. Come on in. How is everybody doing? So today, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about children and screen time. Okay, so whether it's TV, a laptop, a phone, tablet, an iPad, parents' phone, their own phone, all of that. Okay. So my children are now 16, 14, and 8. Okay, so my oldest is going to college in 2 years. So I feel like I've lived through quite a few of the developmental stages. And I know from some of the feedback that I've gotten back from people is that the way that we handled screen time with our children as they were growing up, and the advice that I gave other mothers, they said that that was probably their biggest takeaway from everything they've learned from me, which was interesting. As far as my external program is concerned, not the internal, not the inner work, but the external stuff. So how did we handle, and I know now also, I'm really glad that we did what we did, because it wasn't easy. It's really not easy to limit or not do, to virtually do no screen time when it seems like everybody around you is doing it, right? So, but now, as my kids are older and I see that, I see their behavior, I see their language and cognitive development and where it's at, and I see their marks and I see their standardized test scores. I know that we did the right thing. We made the right decision for our family. That's just how I feel. So what did we do? Okay, so this is what we did. When our children were very little, I would say up to, I want to say up to the age of 5, up to the age of 7, maybe 8. I don't remember now. But I know when they're very little, no TV. No, and when I say no TV, I mean no screen time, unless we're flying. When we would travel and I needed something when I had wiggly toddlers or wiggly kind of older kids, or a little bit older than a toddler, and we were on a 10-hour flight, then I would do a little bit of screen time, like Thomas the Tank Engine. And then when I did, what I would do is I would keep the shows very mellow, right? So there is a calculation that's done. I don't know the technical term for it, but I call it like flashy. That's what my kids call it too. Don't worry, Mom, we can watch it because it's not flashy. But it's how many images are displayed per second, right? Because there's an actual calculation. And if you look historically at the way that shows and TV has evolved, you will notice that the shows now just have a lot more images that are being displayed per second compared to what it was before. So even if my children were little and they were watching it, I would have the shows be very mellow. Now, I will tell you one of the reasons why we did this initially, and I almost forgot. And now I remembered. When we had our first son, and he would watch TV when he was a little younger, let's say maybe kindergarten, I would put a show on for him. I would notice that shortly after watching the show, he would have this persistent blinking, and he would not stop. And it was just freaking me right out. Of course it would, right? And at first I didn't know what was causing it. But then the more I kind of meditated on it, I thought, I think it's the TV. So I cut it out. I just went cold turkey, no more cartoons. And And it was even things like Baby Einstein would trigger it, which was crazy. So I shut off the TV, no more TV. After a few days, it would go away. And I was so grateful that it went away. And then we would put the TV back on, same thing. This blinking that would not stop. Cut off the TV, cut off all screens, obviously. Blinking would go away. So that was, I think, a big part of why we did it. Okay. And then I remember at some point my second son having it. And then I remember at some point my third son having it. So I don't know if it's like genetic in our family or what, but I know that it was clearly related to screen time. So what I did was so initially I cut it out. Then and we would do like an occasion, like typically for us, we will do like a Friday evening family movie night. So when the kids got a little older, we would do it. But the bottom line is we didn't do anything when they were younger. And also, once it started happening, I started doing some research, trying to find some decent studies. So my background initially was in psychology and then sociology. So I find these types of these types of studies and reading journal articles pretty interesting. I find the information pretty fascinating. And I did end up finding some pretty interesting information in terms of how children using screen time and how it was, how there was a cause and effect with screen time and language and cognitive development. Later on in older children, it was related to decreased test scores, standardized test scores. So I found that information. That was just yet another reason for me to really minimize screen time in our family. As they got older, it got more difficult, definitely. I think when they were so finally, I think when they were, basically I will tell you this. Our rule in the family is unless you can read really, really well, screen time is extremely restricted and definitely no video games. Once my children can read fairly well and they're a little bit older, I want to say, I think with my youngest or with my oldest, I think I let him start doing like minimal Minecraft. I think when he was between the ages, I think maybe like 9. I don't think he was as young as 8. I want to say he was 9 or 10. And even that now, I regret. I feel like we should have waited longer. And with my 8-year-old now, I'm definitely waiting, like no video games. As I said, I think it's definitely been the right decision for us. Now my older kids are older. They're 16 and 14, as I said, and they play video games, and yet I still limit it. So before, I would say for my younger, when they first started out, it's, I think maximum would be an hour. And it was an hour. So I think I would do 3 hours for the week. So they didn't do screen time every day. I think they did 3 hours. So I think they did like Monday for an hour, Wednesday for an hour, Friday for an hour. And then as they got older and they maintained good grades, then we extended the time that they have. And as I said, my 8-year-old is still not playing video games. There's no YouTube for him, none of that. What he can watch now is he gets an hour of TV per day. So he is 8, he's going into grade 3, and I think he's probably reading at, I want to say at least at like a grade 5 level. So that's when, as I said, once they start reading, like within the last year, he's really advanced quite a bit with his reading. So I've relaxed on the screen time where now it's an hour every single day. And that's been, it's been good. It's been fine. So I hope that inspires you to possibly think about how your children use screen time, how much they use it, what are they doing on there. The last thing I will mention is that our children did not have cell phones for a really, really long time. And then when they did, and the main reason why we got a cell phone is so our children are homeschooled, but they go to a charter school where they're in town at school like one day a week, and that's when we got a phone for them. And also they're tennis players, they play tennis. So what I would do is when they were away from us, that's when they would have a phone. And it's a shared, to this day, it's a shared phone between my two oldest sons. And I feel like that's worked really well. Our kids are extremely social. They have a ton of friends. And through their charter school, through tennis, on our street, they have a ton of friends, and they just share the phone. And it hasn't been an issue up till now. They're able to share it. They both text on it. They respect each other's privacy. They don't read each other's texts. And also, I think what's helped too is that they each, for school, have their own laptop. So they do a lot of their messaging with their friends through, it used to be Google Hangouts and now it's Discord. So I think that's helped quite a bit too. Okay, so that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. Aloha.